folks still arriving, but for those of you who are here at the top of the hour, we'll just dive in. Well, once again, I want to thank you for attending, and we are really excited to have this group here with us today to learn about what we're working on, because the group really represents a very interesting cross-section of LCA technical experts, building product manufacturers, trade organizations, all of the constituents who make up this industry and who really are proponents of greening the building products industry to ultimately live in a greener world. And I kind of want to start there with the big picture, because we want to all keep our eye on the ball, which is the reason we're doing this all is to make a difference and to ultimately create programs that incentivize the folks who can make meaningful differences to do that, and to make it possible and credible and efficient for us to move as an industry to get done what it is we want to get done. So today we're going to talk about designing greener products, but with a focus on marketing greener products. If you're a manufacturer who really is making greener products, you want to be able to talk to the industry about that in a credible and understandable and an exciting way. And that's what our transparency reports have been designed to do. For those of you who are joining us for the first time and don't know very much about Sustainable Minds, I want to be real clear about who we are and what our mission is. Sustainable Minds is a software company, and we started about 6 years ago with the intent to help manufacturers operationalize environmental performance into product development and manufacturing, ultimately so they could grow by driving revenue and growth through creating greener, more innovative products. We are not going to achieve the end game that we're all hoping to create if making greener products or improving the environmental performance of products isn't just part of the way things get done. So everything we build, all the services, all the software that we create is in the effort to operationalize those efforts and to create the knowledge inside of the organizations who are trying to get this done to be able to do it themselves. And so we're learning right along with everybody else, and as a user-centered product development organization, we work very, very closely with our customers and our partners and our collaborators to create the things and build the things that we hear directly from those folks. So starting out with kind of the big story, we introduced our Sustainable Minds transparency reports at Greenbuild in November with the high-level message that now building product manufacturers can help customers earn LEED credits, so that's the incentive. But what we were out to achieve was to create a vehicle through which building product manufacturers could get started being transparent and talk about the way that they're making products in a credible, consistent, and understandable way, and just let them get started. Ultimately, as we'll all figure out over time, the market will decide how reporting needs to be done, what level of verification and certification is going to be acceptable to make purchase decisions. But right now, as we really move in that direction, we feel it's better to be inclusive and broad-based, and ultimately, let things shake out. So that's the story that we're going to tell you, how we kind of develop that purview and the response that we created in response. And so we brought these transparency reports to market with our customer, TOTO. And they're very much a part of this story in terms of being a catalyst, really funneling their needs into our product development process. the story really hinges also on the collaboration between Ute Meyer, our LCA technical expert, and me. For those of you who don't know me, I started my career as a graphic designer. And so while Sustainable Minds is a company about product design, my expertise is about building understandable and easy to use web-based products. And so this combination of design and LCA technical expertise is really the innovation that we're going to be talking about today, and how that combination, that collaboration produced these results. And that we were able to engage with a world-class organization like NSF to join in with us to really be the verifier and the certifier, literally, not only of TOTO's reports, but of the process and the efforts that we are bringing to market. So moving forward, I'm going to just tell you a little bit more about Sustainable Minds, that we are expanding to become a cloud platform, both for designing and now marketing greener products across the entire value chain. I'm going to tell you about the TOTO backstory, really the catalyst that drove the creation of these reports, and the EPD research that we did is upon which we based our design insights and new product development. And then we'll show you the transparency reports, the showroom in which they'll live. I'm going to touch on the transparency data sheet. We did develop 2 transparency products, but the focus of this webcast is the transparency report. And then we'll do a quick tour of the showroom and the reports, and then move to some Q&A. If you have questions, and I encourage you to ask them, there is the questions panel in the control panel, and please type them in as you have them. We'll answer them at the end of the session. Hopefully I'll be answering them as we go along. And any questions that we don't answer, we'll definitely be able to circle back to you and answer those offline. So Sustainable Minds came to market as a product about 5 years ago with the vision to bring life cycle assessment into early stage product development, and not for use by life cycle assessment experts, but by product development folks, so that they could start bringing credible scientific methods into early stage designs. They could make better decisions from the start. We always started out in the cloud. We knew that that would make it easy to continually evolve the product and make it affordable to bring to market. Since we introduced Sustainable Minds, we've seen adoption not only in industry, but we're exceedingly proud of the adoption that we've seen in education around the world and in every kind of curriculum, business schools, design, every kind of engineering, chemical, environmental, civil, mechanical. And now we're starting to be used in architecture programs. Our brand promise in bringing the software to market was to create a product that was understandable and to make LCA understandable, a product that was easy to use, that's credible, because above all, LCA is a scientific method. It needs to be credible. People have to be able to rely on those results. And we wanted to make something that was affordably priced, because when you're asking people to do something new, you don't want to ask them to pay a lot of money to do it. The premise of the software is this. There is no such thing as a green product. So it's not the premise of the software, it's really a fundamental premise. Green is a relative value. Something can only be greener than something else. Sustainable minds will never be in the business of deciding what green means. Sustainable minds will only be in the business of delivering tools that allow folks to credibly create concepts, measure them, and compare the difference between one or more concepts so that they can determine what does green mean in their context and how much difference is a meaningful difference to ultimately make a design decision or a marketing decision. The primary use case for sustainable minds in product development is to benchmark an existing product or benchmark a new concept in a new product development process, understand what's causing the impacts across the life cycle of the product, and to generate alternatives to be able to compare environmental performance improvements and which changes in any stage of the life cycle is going to make the most meaningful improvements. It delivers quantified estimates of environmental performance, again, for non-experts to integrate into product development, but for the first time, delivering a standardized way, a standardized system that's credible and enabling comparison that ultimately delivers results that are easy to understand, interpret, meaning what do I do, what decisions or changes do I make as a result of understanding this now, and I can share those results as well. The way we were able to simplify or make LCA understandable for non-LCA experts was to develop our single figure score methodology. The methodology is really a recipe, and the ingredients include the TRACI impact categories from the EPA with normalization and weighting data from NIST. So rather than having impact values for each of the 10 impact categories, we take an impact value, let's say for a pound of aluminum. We normalize those values so that they can be added up to a single figure and apply a weighting to create a single figure score. So we present that single figure aggregate score, again, so that someone in product development can simply answer the question, is it better or worse? And how much better or worse? But we also pull out the carbon equivalents, the global warming score, and present them as carbon equivalents. So now there are two values for making decisions. The single figure impact factor score is a relative value, right? It only has meaning when compared to another impact factor. The carbon equivalent score is an absolute value, kilos of carbon equivalent, so that carbon footprinting can be done. And the data in our data set is from ecoinvent and NREL and some of the other trusted sources that are pretty commonly used. Inside the application is our learning center, again, because it's all about teaching people to think and act differently. And there's a pretty substantive section in the learning center on the methodology where you can also download the ISO 14044 methodology report and go through the 100+ pages. But again, it's a quite extensively documented. It's been reviewed, and I welcome you to take a look. Now that you have some background on sustainable minds, let's talk about folks in the industry. And we know you who are here at the webcast, who are manufacturers, you're facing two substantial challenges. And now that you both need and want to design greener products, you're also needing and wanting to market greener products. And these images down here represent the drivers that really are changing the marketplace and driving us to want to do these things. But I hone in on this one driver, which is brand. Everybody is being driven by the same demand and cost of resources, regulation, supply chain risk, with the real opportunity to innovate and develop new products and to generate new revenues, acquire new customers, and grow the business. But ultimately, there's not a lot, and I hope everybody takes it in the right way, but there's not a lot of variation really in most products, in most product categories. And we all know that brand is increasingly part of how people, whether they're consumers or B2B, make purchase decisions. They're looking at functional performance, cost. Brand is a critical element to making that decision. And as brands step up and add green or environmental values, we're really starting to see how those activities are changing the perception of those companies and those brands and really accelerating their growth in the marketplace. So brand is an important part of this story, and you'll see how that bears out. And so as we've seen since System Lines came to market 5 years ago, the increasing demand for transparency is driving more LCA-based reporting, more standards, more certifications, and there are a lot of different types of organizations working on each of these types of methods for measuring, reporting, and comparing. And everyone agrees, life cycle assessment is the recognized scientific method to measure green. Yet it presents some pretty substantial systemic challenges, as everyone is aware. It's expensive, it's time-consuming. There really aren't a lot of people who know how to do it well. It's difficult to scale the process. There really is a shortage of useful life cycle inventory data. It's very difficult, if not impossible, to get LCI data for new greener products as they're being brought to market by manufacturers. So there's no kind of continuous, standardized, reliable distribution. And ultimately, manufacturers have not really been good at leveraging their investment in LCA, both in the product development process, but particularly on the marketing side of things. Making an LCA that's been critically reviewed publicly available is a big undertaking and a big investment. It's not necessarily the best marketing tool that helps your customers make a purchase decision. And so we've seen plenty of manufacturers who've made a big investment in LCA and have not known what to do with it to really see a payback. And now as we look really broadly across a value chain, everyone is involved. You've got the folks at this end, whether it's a B2B customer or a retailer, looking at the finished product people saying, you've got to tell us what's in your products. These guys turn around to their component manufacturers and say, you've got to tell us what's in your products. These guys turn around to the raw material and equipment guys and say, you've got to tell us what's in your products. And so this demand for transparency means that every manufacturer has to be able to both design and market with credibility, and that designing truly greener products ultimately requires access to a comprehensive source of current and credible life cycle data. So the design and market activities are tightly related, very interconnected. And today, for the most part, manufacturers are maybe doing one and not so much the other, and the processes and the people involved are separate. And so to achieve this vision of operationalizing environmental performance into product development, design and marketing or reporting really needs to become an integrated process with the same sets of people involved from across the life cycle of that product, from inception to go to market. So that's why Sustainable Minds is expanding our platform to not only continue to work with manufacturers to design greener products, but now to work with manufacturers to market those greener products as well. It all comes down to making better design decisions so that you can also be making better marketing decisions so that your customers can ultimately make better purchase decisions. And so, you know, the benefits are making better decisions earlier, making the process more efficient, operationalizing it into development, managing supplier data, engaging and rewarding them for helping you bring greener products to market. And then on the marketing side, you know, get visibility for making those better, greener products. And make transparency reporting credible and efficient so that more of those products can be explained and shared and brought to market. We want to help standardize comparability in a way that makes sense. Not conformity, but comparability. And ultimately to connect buyers and sellers because those manufacturers making credibly greener products should be rewarded with our business. And just as an aside, for those of you in the LCA business or manufacturers who have started doing LCAs, you know, this is an inescapable activity, sustainable purchasing, and everyone involved is going to be increasingly involved. And if you're not ready to share your data yet, you're going to need to get ready. So that's a whole separate discussion, but I do like to throw that in just to get everybody's attention. So we see LEAD v4 as having created a tipping point, that it's a huge market, lots of manufacturers, lots of constituents. It's a big dollar industry, and we couldn't be, you know, more impressed or happier for the industry and you know, frankly, for Sustainable Minds. Like, all right, people are really, you know, they're going to do it now. Now there's a real reason to make greener products and credibly sell them. And the guidelines, the credit language is all about transparency and encouraging manufacturers to be transparent and giving them guidance about how to be transparent and then ultimately how to get acknowledged for it. But this is the big question. Those guidelines set a very high bar. There is a lot to do for building product manufacturers to produce LCAs and ultimately turn them into reporting documents that can allow them to get the credits for being transparent in the marketplace. And there aren't a lot of building product manufacturers who are really in a position to spend the time and money, but yet that's the opportunity and the challenge that's been laid out. And I have to say, I was at a USGBC Boston meeting just this morning, and I asked the question of the group, how many architects or architecture firms in the room were already looking to create products that were going to get certified to V4, and the general response was, you know, we don't know when we're going to be ready to do that because we don't know if there are going to be enough building product manufacturers who are ready. And I had heard that anecdotally before, but you know, hearing it directly from people was very sobering. That, you know, the people who are ready to specify the products and spend money are really concerned that this opportunity is not going to get fulfilled. But yet at the same time, you know, I think LEAD was really smart to add that to the credit language to incentivize manufacturers go do it, because you are going to help your customers make better decisions, build better buildings. And the point system is the tangible incentive. They'll get more points and get to a higher level of LEED. Now, we believe manufacturers who are actually making greener products should be rewarded for their efforts. But today, the way the LEED guidelines are written, like I said, the bar is set really high. There's a lot of hurdles to get over to get to the place where they can be credibly transparent. What we believe was that it's time to think differently about that process and make it easier for manufacturers to get started. And if you just do the math, looking at this question of will BPMs be ready, starting with the PCR process, that requires a very significant investment of time, expense, and expertise. And for those of you who are currently involved in PCR working groups or have been involved, they can not usually be very quick, and they can be very long. So if you look at 6 to 12 months, if you got started now on a PCR, and then as a manufacturer, great, I'm going to get started on my LCA. So this is optimistic. I'm going to get that done in 3 months, but depending on the complexity of the product, or if you really want to use supplier data, or if you've never benchmarked your own primary data, that could take another 3 to 12 months. But we're looking at June of 2015 to start certifying projects to LEED v4, which is 17 months away. And so how will the BPMs get ready for LEED v4 so that architects, builders, contractors, and owners can make better decisions, specify better, greener products, and you can be rewarded for bringing those products to market? So when we started looking at this opportunity earlier, in the early part of 2013, really at the end of 2012, and that's the story I'm about to tell you, our initial conclusion was that LCAs, that's the accepted science. But PCRs and EPDs, that process seemed to be outmoded for today's demand for transparency. So the idea was, all right, let's keep the science, but can we re-engineer the process to speed things up and take advantage of what's happening in the world today? So let me tell you about the story that drove us to these results. And the story is about TOTO, and it starts with Bill Strang, TOTO's president of North American operations, coming back from Greenville in 2012 saying, geez, we're going to need EPDs. And so we looked around and got back to him and said, you're not going to be able to have EPDs because today there's no PCR for toilets. Unless you want to pull together a PCR working group and spend 6 to 12 months on that before we start doing your LCAs, have at it. Or let's figure out something else that's not an EPD but allows you to credibly be transparent and be ready for LEED v4. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Ute Meyer is our LCA technical expert, and I'm, by all intents and purposes, a graphic designer. And so I really had not spent any time learning about EPDs. So I asked Ute to be my tutor in this process and teach me about EPDs. Because in my mind, I'm very pragmatic, and I try to break things down to their simplest concepts. So I said, an EPD is a brochure. So how is it different from other kinds of brochures? What's in it? So you laid it out for me. He said, okay, well, there's 4 main categories of information in an EPD. The first ingredient are LCA results that are reviewed by an independent third party. Then you've got relevant variations, other environmental performance data. So these first three things are required. And the last element is essentially product information or product marketing, which is optional. And then this whole document needs to be certified by a third-party program operator. And I really was quite taken aback by the content requirements of an EPD. They are really not insubstantial. So I said, all right, well, we better start reading a bunch of EPDs because I need to understand how they're being produced today and what manufacturers are deciding is important information to include in an EPD. And I was really surprised to see, as we started doing our research project, that there was just a massive difference between EPDs from different manufacturers in different product categories, from different countries, other documents that were not EPDs that manufacturers were using to report on environmental performance. And so we looked at a large quantity of EPDs and not EPDs. And for the purposes of this research report, we included 5 in the final analysis. And I'm just going to give you the real high-level overview of what we looked at and what we learned. But you can see the 5 that we included: Armstrong ceiling tiles, Herman Miller chair, Hansgrohe hand shower, this Rockfin products from the Netherlands, and this UL transparency brief. So we beefed up the EPD content categories just a little bit to create an analysis framework. So this is a content analysis framework. Product description is content that's in an EPD, and issuing party related references. So now we have six categories. This is optional, that's required. So what we did was we took screenshots of all the pages in the EPDs, and we went and we overlaid the color code over the content in each EPD just to get a high-level sense of the quantity of different content types included in the particular EPD. And we felt that this Armstrong ceiling tile EPD represented, I'm going to say, the Cadillac of EPDs. It's beautifully designed. The typography is well structured, really good imagery, nice diagrams, really well done. And it's 18 pages. And when you look at it, I'd like to point out this orange bar is marketing content or product-related content. Of the entire 18 pages, the opening paragraph we determined was product-related marketing, and the closing paragraph. And you can see there's a lot of content. All the pink is LCA, the purple is relevant differences, relevant variations, and the turquoise is other environmental performance information. And after we looked at each EPD, we did a quick analysis of what works well and what doesn't work well, because there are always things that work well. Even if you think something isn't successful, there are always things about it that are. And that's where the learning really happens, when you can find what's working in something that maybe isn't representative of a best practice solution. The next one we looked at was this Hansgrohe hand shower. This particular document is 24 pages long for 2 variations of this hand shower. And again, you can see here's the orange, here's the product-related marketing. No orange whatsoever in the full 24 pages. You've got product description. You've got a lot of LCA information, just a lot. A lot of relevant variations, and that's a lot of data. when you look at the shorter ones, start out by looking at this transparency brief. It's 2 pages. It's 1 page, 2 sides. And you can see that all the colors, with the exception of additional environmental performance information, is really represented here. But what we want to point out is that the transparency brief is an executive summary of a full EPD. And so clearly some folks thought that most EPDs were too long and be better if there was a shorter version. But now that means the manufacturer has to create 2 documents, the full EPD and then the transparency brief, in addition to their regular product information. Here's the Terman Miller Chair environmental product summary. Again, it's 1 page, 2-sided. It's got some good product marketing information. It's got some good relevant variations and some good product description. It's not an EPD, so there's no LCA information, no related party references. If you drill into the text here, they've earned a lot of certifications for this particular product, and so the certifications really are the standards by which this chair is being expressed as a green chair or a greener chair. And this last short version from Rockfun is 3 pages, and it is a full EPD. And this was a real big, exciting discovery for us that you could do a full EPD. It could be short, and in fact, the graphic design of this brochure, not so good. It could have been done in 2 pages easily, and there's no product marketing information, but nonetheless, it is an EPD, and it would fit in 2 pages. So we said, great, look, what we're out to do is, and again, getting back to this idea that an EPD is a brochure that helps manufacturers sell products, and I wondered why a manufacturer would have to produce so much product literature for each product, because they're going to have their regular collateral to sell the product the way they sell it today, but now there's this other piece of collateral that only talks about the environmental performance. We go back to our Sustainable Minds premise about environmental performance. It's just the latest criteria in product development, which means that manufacturers have to be able to make trade-off decisions between the regular criteria, functional performance, cost, aesthetics, safety, and now this new criteria, environmental performance, to be able to make decisions about what to build. It's the same situation. People making purchasing decisions need to be able to make trade-offs between environmental performance and all the other criteria that they use to make purchase decisions. So why is that information in a separate brochure that lives someplace else? So now I have to look in multiple places to get all the information I need to make a purchase decision about a single product. So to summarize our research findings, we said, look, most EPDs are too long, and they don't make it easy, not that useful to help make a purchase decision. The ones that are too short usually aren't EPDs. They're very technical. There's usually too much detail in the LCA results, which isn't surprising because it's usually an LCA technical expert who's writing or producing the EPD, and that's what they know. I mean, that's the fruits of their labor, that information, that data. So that, that makes sense. And I absolutely don't mean to diminish or ding any of the LCA folks who are on the call here, because actually you're going to see I'm teeing this up to say, look, if you're not going to produce an EPD when you deliver an LCA, consider delivering a transparency report. And so I'm going to talk to you about how to do that, because it goes back to, we believe that LCA results are underutilized and that can be better utilized in a more understandable and meaningful way so that people can make informed decisions. So bottom line is, we came away wondering how architects, builders, and contractors today use EPDs to make informed purchase decisions beyond just checking the box. Yes, they said they have an EPD, I can check the box. But if I really want to read it, if I really want to understand what the manufacturer is doing, how can an EPD help? So let me introduce our transparency products. The intent is to create transparency products that will drive greener purchase decisions by making environmental performance information easy to understand. And what we've designed is the opportunity for manufacturers to showcase both the functional and the environmental performance of products in a concise, easy to understand format so that decision makers can quickly review to make well-informed greener purchase decisions. So we've developed two types of transparency products: the transparency report, which we're going to spend most of our time looking at in the remaining time that we have. You know, quote unquote, it is an alternative to an EPD. You're going to see we really look at it as a strategic marketing vehicle. It does more than today's EPDs are designed to do. They deliver full LCA results, and what we've done is we've added, in addition, not instead of, but in addition, we have added our Sustainable Minds single figure scores to the transparency report by life cycle stage so that those simple numbers can help folks who are not LCA experts understand where the impacts are occurring in the product's life cycle, what's causing them, and ultimately what a manufacturer is doing to improve the environmental performance. And I'm going to show you what these look like. Our other transparency product is a transparency data sheet, and these were designed for manufacturers who don't have the need or the desire to disclose their LCA or their LCI data, but they do want to substantiate if they've gone through the rigor of doing LCAs in their products and want to be able to verify that and to present the functional performance and competitive aspects of their products in the context of the Sustainable Minds data set. So now, if I'm a designer designing a new product, here's a quick screenshot of our modeling interface. I'm building scenarios and I'm looking for new alternative products. I can find a data sheet on a new material that is substantiated with the LCA results, but the focus is on the functional performance, applications of use, and telling real stories about how the manufacturer has made it greener. Or I'm going to be able to find the transparency report. Again, depending upon the level of disclosure and reporting the manufacturer needs and wants to deliver. We also really like to make sure that people understand we are great believers in the PCR EPD process, but we also believe that it's going to take many, many years for that process to play itself out, and that there has to be alternative ways for manufacturers to get started, be incredibly transparent, bring their products to market, let people make better purchase decisions, and let the market decide. So from our research, we decided that a transparency report would be 2 pages, 3 pages maximum, with the third page being optional, how we make it greener. The first page, we're calling the performance dashboard, should have all the information somebody needs to make a purchase decision, so it has the functional performance and the environmental performance. The second page presents simple and easy to understand LCA results and what those results mean, and what the manufacturer is actually doing in response to understanding the impact of the products that they're making. Now, we really want to focus in on this. Sustainable Minds transparency reports are built from or made from any ISO 14044 LCA. They are not produced with Sustainable Minds software results. We add the single figure scores that we calculate from your ISO 14044 LCA, but that's the starting point. You can have made that LCA using Gabby, SEMA Pro, spreadsheets. You can have us do it. We prefer that you or your consultants have done it, because we're in the business of operationalizing this process. But that's how you start. You want to leverage your LCA investment into an efficient and comparable marketing tool. And remember, I'm going to show you how our transparency report includes all of the requirements of an EPD other than a reference to a PCR. And it today can be used to meet the lead credit option 1, product-specific declarations, because the content in the report comes from a publicly available, third-party verified LCA. Now, we are in the process of we're in the process of evaluating whether transparency report can and will earn increased credits through LEAD, and we hope to have a response to that in the next few months. So let me show you how TOTO helped us illustrate and bring this product to market and still effectively present their brand. You can see it's 3 pages, performance dashboard, LCA results and interpretation. 3rd page is how we make it greener. That is completely optional. It could be 2 pages. It can be 3 pages. Here in the footer on every page, again, this is where we believed that setting aside LEAD for the moment and trying to earn points, we want to make it possible for any manufacturer who is using LCA to improve the environmental performance of their products to be able to start telling those stories and have those discussions with their customers. And so the verification reporting zone on every report allows the manufacturer to disclose the level of verification of the report, whether it's been certified or self-declared, whether the LCA has been third-party verified or self-declared. And then it also clearly discloses the scope of the LCA, and then includes the contact information of the program operator and the release date of the report. Now, that means that a manufacturer could produce a transparency report with a self-declared cradle-to-gate LCA with a self-declared report. Now, it wouldn't earn LEAD credits, but that manufacturer could start having those conversations with its customers and start essentially being in the transparency game. Part of our deliverable of a transparency report, because your LCA data it's from your primary manufacturing and or your suppliers, and we turn it into impact factors, including the report, part of our deliverable is to provide you with the Sustainable Minds account with a private data set. So now you can have your own product-specific information in Sustainable Minds. So if you've started out marketing better, we're giving you a deliverable that's going to let you start designing better as well. So now you've got the full cycle. You've got your product benchmarked in Sustainable Minds. Your product development team can continue to design, and ultimately you can use it to set environmental performance improvement goals so that every time you go to report, you can actually report progress. Now, the other big component we're adding to Sustainable Minds is our Sustainable Minds Manufacturer Showroom, which is a public site where we're organizing brands by their place in the value chain, so material manufacturers, process folks, parts, components, fabrics, finished products, and anyone for free can come to the showroom and start learning about all the manufacturers who are making greener products by visiting each manufacturer's showroom. Because it's in the cloud, on the web, traffic can be driven bidirectionally from a manufacturer site to the transparency reports and back. We drive traffic to that manufacturer so that folks who are looking to specify products can contact that manufacturer. And at the end of the day, the Sustainable Minds single figure scores are what normalize and make comparability simpler. Now, it's not about the number. It's not that the number is going to drive a purchase decision. The number is going to allow people to make compared decisions, but there's all the content that's in the data sheet or in the report that really is what's going to drive that purchase decision. So coming over here, I encourage you to go to the Sustainable Minds website. You click on the Sustainable Minds Manufacturers Showroom. This is the introduction of the showroom page. You can go learn about our transparency products. In fact, you can even visit a live data sheet. This is what I was showing you smaller, so you can see what that content looks like. And the exciting thing is to be able to drill into the first showroom, TOTO showroom, and now you can start perusing the transparency reports, where there's a standardized framework, a very, very prescriptive framework for content. And so because we did all that analysis of what's in an EPD, we also did extensive analysis of what's the information that needs to be in a single location for someone to make a comparative and informed purchase decision. So we have a very structured content collection process. You can see on this front page the performance dashboard, all of the functional performance, the environmental performance attributes. As a manufacturer, you can send people, because it's on the web, to anywhere you like, so it's the product pages on your site. You can send people to any of the other actual certification sites or any more content on your own site. Here's the contact button. You can, again, drive people to your site. But this is where we thought long and hard about how does someone use the LCA information in the context of a purchase decision. We decided that having lots of LCA results on the front page took up valuable real estate that didn't help someone make a decision. And so here our single figure score gives a total impact per functional unit. We wanted to make sure through this product introduction that people could go learn about the single figure score methodology. If you click on that link, you actually download the full 100-something page methodology report. When we build out the showroom, it will go to the Learning Center, where there's the shorter but still in-depth version. But we wanted to be sure that people could see the credibility of the methodology. But here we're going to go now to the LCA results page, which is the second tab. And what you'll find there is, again, the content required in EPD, the functional unit, the declared unit, material composition. And what we've done is we've taken the LCA results and wrote very simple, understandable interpretation to explain what's causing the greatest impact. And right here, the manufacturer gets to start talking about the programs that they've put in place that address the impacts that are being disclosed in the LCA and how they're making greener products. You can see our single figure scores are being used very simply to demonstrate where the greatest impacts are by life cycle stage. So it's real easy to see production and use. That's what gets explained in this text. Production and use are equally impactful. Here we get into the full LCA results. You can see by life cycle stage, the information module is included, what's been excluded. There's some interpretation about what that means. The manufacturer can optionally use images from their life cycle to illustrate that. And again, here we use our single figure scores to simplify what the results mean and caption those with information about what's contributing greater than 20% of the impacts in that stage. You can have then you have the full LCA results. You can have multiple methodologies if you want a second methodology. Here you have all the references. Again, the same footer. And finally, this third optional tab, how we make it greener, is where the manufacturer can tell the real stories about what they're doing in each stage of the life cycle that's improving or changing the environmental performance of their products. Now, these are prototype pages. Well, these will all be HTML pages. These are sliders that open and close. You can see as much or as little content as you like. TOTO has a great branding firm who created these graphics. You can have text. You don't need to have images. It's whatever content you want to provide. What we've done is created the framework and the content descriptions about what you need to provide to make a good report. Now, for those of you who are program operators, LCA technical experts, or responsible for the credibility and verification, when we introduced the transparency reports in November, the focus was on that deliverable, a new format, a new way of reporting, a new way of re-engineering the PCR process by enabling the first manufacturer in a product category to set the parameters for that product category in the context of a technical evaluation. Is it the right functional unit? Is it the right use phase scenarios and several other attributes? And so the framework that we're rolling out, which will be making available in February, will be a very detailed and recognizable process for all of you with very clear governance, content requirements, calculation rules. But essentially, what it simply does is it re-engineers the PCR process, allowing manufacturers who want to get started, who have already gotten started, to set the precedents or the parameters for that category. If there's reasons to change it as other manufacturers show up, the technical review board will make those decisions. Those applications for defining product categories will be made public. There will be a review period, but all at an accelerated and transparent pace. We want to engage every LCA service provider in helping to deliver transparency reports when an EPD isn't possible. We want program operators to get in the game and help manufacturers bring greener products to market. And we want to work with the trade associations to help them think about accelerating transparency in their industry. And all of this, if the industry decides, paves the way to creating PCRs and EPDs. Now you'll have manufacturers who are more knowledgeable about the process, functional unit, use phase scenarios, other attributes that have been set in the transparency report process can be adopted for that PCR. Or it might mean that PCRs never get created for every product category that exists. If a PCR is too general, then it's not specific enough for all the categories and variations of products. They often end up being a compromise. There may be some PCRs in every industry. There may be none. We want it to make it possible for every industry, for every manufacturer who is investing in LCA to be able to get started. We invite any or all of you who are here in this webcast today to reach out to us. We'll reach out to you. We are working with other manufacturers now to produce the next round of transparency reports. We are engaging with trade associations, other LCA providers. We will be bringing out the documents and introducing the technical committee next month. This will continue to be an evolving product and solution, and we invite everyone to help us and participate. So if you're a manufacturer, an LCA professional, association representative, an architect, owner, builder who are the advocates for the industry to create that demand to make greener products, there's a role for every one of you in the relationship that we would like to have with you. So we are at the top of our hour, and I want to thank you very much for hanging out to the end, for those of you who have. In fact, I'm kind of surprised, almost everybody did. The questions that were posed looks like they pretty much got answered. And there are a few questions as you exit that if you have a minute to respond to, that'd be helpful as well. So with that, again, thank you for attending. We really welcome your feedback now and in the future, and have a great day. Bye-bye.